behind the scenes brew days. Craft beer, casino, hotel, brewery. Let's get it. Hey everybody, welcome to Adam Makes Beer, and today we are at 210 Brewing in the beautiful Angel of the Wind Casino here outside of Seattle. And we are with Ryan and Dave, and we are going to be making some beer today. We're going to be taking a full tour of this place. It's a very cool build out. There's a lot of fun things. You can see it's gorgeous, clean, shiny. So we're going to dig in. We're going to be making, what do we got going on today? We have 210 light going on today. So we got some Pils, malt, we have some flaked rice, and we're gonna have a good time. So stick with us.
Oh, you know what? I want to grab those scissors and cut these bags so I'm not.
For sure.
I can do it ahead of time.
So as he's cutting those bags open, we're go ahead and we're prepped up over here. You can see our pump that's built into, that's attached to the side of the HLT over here. And if you're remembering some of the old cartridge videos, here's a very familiar panel. It's built a little bit different than the one I was working on before because it's not built out for decoction. But you can see right here that this is hooked up to the sparge hydrator. So with that, we're going to be utilizing this pump over here to be pushing our water up through to the hydrator for mashing. We're going to dig into this more in a little bit, but we're also prepping a sterile loop for the wort line. So I'll show you that real quick. All right, so we have a couple of barrels of water in the kettle right now. Beautiful little sight glass right here. And we're going to be using this pump built into the housing of the brew house to circulate the water that is heating up inside the kettle. We're going to be making sure that that entire loop for that wort line is up at 185 degrees F or 85 degrees C, I believe, for all of my metric loving people out there. Sometimes they get mad at me with the metric thing because I don't do it well enough. And then we're going to circ that for 20 minutes. But let's start jumping into the mash.
Getting our hot liquor tank.
So kind of just running like a preheat on it?
Yeah, so some people will run it and let it drain. I like to just use our CIP ball.
Yep.
To kind of hit all the walls and everything there. Start to get it going.
Absolutely.
We'll open that up. Our CIP ball. Crank on this guy.
This valve tree brings me back to working on the other one. And this is really great. So one of the things that I love here at 210 is they have some killer gear, a beautiful little temperature resistant flow meter, nice temp probe, and then it runs up to this tree so you can feed it around right now. And right now you have this valve open, which is taking us where?
This is our CIP ball. If
Yep.
you pop in there, you can kind of see that we're spraying the edges right now.
Yep.
The one here on the left will be our sparge sprayers.
Yep.
And then this is our hydrator.
Beautiful.
Let's hit it.
So you go and switch that water flow over to that hydrator, and it's running over there back behind, and then back to that auger rig that's going to be dropping our grain down. Opening that door up.
And I was
some beautiful, clean equipment here.
We use rice salts in here. I don't know. Some people don't use it. I like to use rice salt. It makes me feel good inside.
Sure.
And we just kind of throw in handfuls at a time. Yep. I like to start off with just a little bit so we can get a good mix there. And then we'll throw in. And
so just kind of feathering those in a little bit just to kind of help facilitate that louder ability of the mash.
Yeah. I just want to. We've never had a stuck mash.
Yeah.
I don't want one.
Yeah.
And if anything, I figured some rice salt is better than none.
Sure.
So.
And that's one of the things that I've noticed since I've been here the last couple days doing some work together. You really go out of your way to have a gentle process, kind of all the way through, but definitely on the hot side as well.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just the hippie in me or something, but it's my baby, right?
Yeah.
So I just feel like softer, gentle approach to our transfers. Sometimes maybe our transfers take a little bit longer, but when it comes to our Vorlauf and stuff, I like to start really gentle and kind of bring it up to a slow kind of roll off. But yeah, we'll look at all that stuff.
For sure. All right, and then we got Dave down here that is starting to add in he's at the grain mill. So this is a unique little thing. Ryan was saying that a lot of folks around here use this grain mill, and I've not seen it before, and I think that it's very, very slick. One of the things that I noticed when I got in here is how clean the place is. And I know mill rooms can usually be such a big mess, all right? And so when I saw this box that they were using, and then this auger coming out of it, so clearly it was where they were milling, I'm like, how is this place so clean? But let's dig in and take a look at this real quick. All right, so what Dave is doing is he's loading these bags in. I can give you an inside shot of it in a little bit, but there is a barrier. There is a great barrier in between there to where you can dump the grain in and it'll start milling it up. Inside this box, there's obviously a motor, but a 2-wheel roller that's knocking out this grain in. And then it simply just comes out the other side with this auger and then leads ultimately, boom, right there. And we're dropping in on the back side of the mash tun. This is a mash lauter situation, so it's going to be one tank that handles both of those duties. When I was at Sonder, we had a mash tun that was separate, so a mash mixer, and then we will pump over to the lauter tun. This serves both purposes. A lot of smaller places are kind of using this combo type technique on the mashing and lauter side. We'll check this one out. I think I'm going to be able to B-roll some footage in. It's beautiful, shiny, and they do have something interesting when it comes to their grates, which or their false bottom that I've not seen before. So we're going to check that out too. All right, Ryan. So something I have not seen before with a mash tun is what seems to be like this port here, and it almost gives me like a nautical feel.
I'll tell you something funny about this. Like when we first got this and we were piecing the brew house together, I thought this was like a coat rack or something.
Sure.
Like I was like, do I put my, like I had no idea what that was. And then we noticed that it was the same size as this little hole that they had cut out for this. So on these, on our false bottom, the screens are kind of pieced together like little pieces of pizza, right? Like
yep.
They all kind of go around the whole inside. But at the other place I used to work, we could pull those out through our manway, but we can't get them out that way. So they've designed this as a little port. It takes a little too long to take it apart, but take these screws off and there's like a gasket and a seal in there, keeps it all together. But it allows us to actually pull our mash tun apart, and we have to pull it through this.
Oh,
so
that's interesting.
It's a way to pull them out. It doesn't come out through here. It won't come out through our manway, but this allows us to get that false bottom out of there to clean it.
That's cool. I've not seen a build like that.
I actually hadn't either, but yeah. It took us a while to figure out what that was. But
for sure.
But yeah, it allows us to get in there and make sure we're keeping everything clean, and we can break that all down if we need to. So.
You know, I've kind of referenced it a little bit, but it is kind of this is kind of a nostalgia brew for me because I was working on a specific mechanical back at Cartridge, and that was a used system, and I think it was probably at least maybe 15 years old when we first got it, so it's a little bit older. But then coming in here and checking out this system, the heart and soul of it is still the same. It's crazy how familiar the whole thing is. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're great there. I was allowed to purchase the equipment here, and I went with Pacific Mechanical because I had also brewed on another one. So it's kind of a nostalgia thing for me. It was a flame fire. It was a fire system. Yep. This is a steam, but it was a nice little upgrade, and it's been great to use this. Pacific's been great, and they really take care of us.
All right, so Ryan's going to explain what's going on during this mash-in just briefly.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, so we're brewing our 210 light today, so it's a really small, quick mash in, so not a lot of grain, not a lot of water. But right now, Dave's down here, he's milling in. We got our little auger. I like to tell people it gives a nice little elevator ride for our grain up to our hydrator, and then we're dropping in. Something I like to do is when I'm mashing in, I like to spin my rakes forward, and then I like to kind of stop them and switch that and spin it in reverse for a little while. It's one of those things where I think it helps distribute the heat in an even manner in here. Also, maybe it's just me feeling good about the process, but
sure.
I like to mix forward, mix back, and we got right here, we got our mash water, sparge water, pre-boil volume here. Yeah, and then in a little bit here, we do add a good bit of rice to this. So I got some bags of flaked rice up here. I'll add that kind of towards the end. Again, it's more of a gentle process, I think, and I at least don't like to throw them in the beginning because I don't want to stuck mash, but we'll throw a little more rice hulls in here. And then
they are really fine too in general. They can get, you feel like they can get sticky, you know, the rice side of things, right?
And actually, he's got about 2 bags left. So I like to start kind of scooping in my rice right now, flaked rice. And I don't like to pile it up, but we'll just kind of start to kind of scatter these in as this spins around.
And using that scooper, it does kind of just give you a little bit more control. You feel like you can spread it out a little bit better, things like that.
In the whole bag, it doesn't seem to clump together as easily.
Yeah.
So that's why we do it. It's kind of a jump in towards the end and time it right with the last 2 bags.
Sure.
So we're getting it all in. I'll check out my temperature. Still looking good.
Yeah, and the whole time, you know, we just stay monitoring our flow rate, our temperature. One thing that we didn't mention is we have hot water in the hot liquor tank at 178 right now, but we're also folding in a little bit of cold water on the side here to blend that back to be hitting the mash temperature that we want.
Yeah, we had to have it run.
All right, so we have this mash rolling.
But we were at 178 and we were getting ready to go over
170
in there. It probably, if I were to just let it run, I'd guess it was going to hit like 175.
You can see this. You can see this sparging right here. We'll be using that later. You can see the spray ball right there. And then this area in the back where the grain and the mash water are coming in.
Right, cutting our water.
So you just cut the hot liquor tank pump, so you're no longer pushing water up in there. And we're just wrapping up this mash right now. All right, so let's jump back and take a look at this mill real quick. Again, very cool. Oh wait, all I'm doing is just moving the camera closer to my face. Hold on. Boom, ski. You can see right there, you can see that double mill, that double roller in there. It's a compact unit and it gets the job done. That's actually one of the cooler, I mean, it has wheels on it. Obviously, for the purposes of the auger, they're not wheeling it around from there or anything like that. But a really nice solution for that sometimes super dirty grain room. They do a really good job of keeping things clean around here, and this mill is one of the things that impressed me. All right, so we just am I pointing? I'm pointing at me. Did that temperature probe come with the system, or is that a purchase separate?
It came with it.
That's what I thought. We had the probe on that is wild.
Yeah.
Is that something that you can actually calibrate?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, we actually probably should calibrate it.
We were actually just talking about the other day. You can kind of do one or two things depending on elevation. You can do like the really fine ice and make like a really heavy slush, and then have that be your 0 or 32 degrees, and then boiling water be your 100 or.
Yeah, there's like an ice machine in there too. We could just fill a bucket and throw some water in there at some point.
212. What does boiling read here? What is your
211?
It reads 211.
Usually 211. I don't think it doesn't usually get up to 212, but it has.
Yeah.
I think it's normally when I look up and see that it's 211, I know that it's ripping in here.
Sure. Yeah.
So and it'll kind of bounce up and down from there.
Yeah, because there were some bits and pieces to the used one we had. I think there's the probe, but there wasn't the thing. But it's interesting that both those systems had that years apart. I like the length on the probe too, because you can hit different portions of the mash, like you were saying before, and kind of temp it out.
I go all the way through, and then you can actually go like sideways through it, and get all that.
Well, sweet. How long of a rest do you have on this right now?
So right now we set, as soon as we're done mashing in, we set a timer for 30 minutes. So generally go 30 minutes in, and then after that 30-minute timer is when we actually start our gentle transfer. Recirc. We'll start filling the line slowly with wort, and then when it's full, we'll kick it on really gently and then start to recirc. And then we set a timer there for 30 minutes.
Nice.
Might be overkill, but I don't know that it's too long. I think it's just about right.
Makes sense.
It's just on paper it works for us.
Yeah. All right. Something that we've implemented on this trip out here, which I think is really exciting, is working on ways that we can really double down on what we're doing on the heat exchanger side and wort line side in order to make sure that we're as sterile as possible going from the kettle through the heat exchanger to the fermenter. So we've been implementing a block and bleed right here. You can see that this unit right here down, we've seen this block and bleed before, sight glass, T, valved out on both sides. This right now is returning really 195 degree water, 190 degree water back to the kettle, because before we started the mashing process, we added a couple of barrels of water to the kettle. They were able to turn on the lower steam jacket to heat that up. And now we're utilizing the pump that's part of the brew house to push this through the heat exchanger and then loop this back around. The whole idea is that we're getting this entire thing, the heat exchanger, which had been cleaned thoroughly and forwards and backwards yesterday. And then now we're pushing all this sterile water through. We also, when we started to push this sterile water through to heat up this whole system, we utilized the block and bleed right here to knock out any residual cooled water that was in the heat exchanger, and then we can click close and open and push that thing through. So this is one of my favorite things to be able to do on the wort line side, on the heat exchanger side, to really take things to the next level with your sanitation heading to the fermenter. All right, so we just wrapped the circulation over here for the sterile loop for the heat exchanger. And what are we rolling on to next?
So we're going to start our Vorlauf. So it just means basically we just want to slowly fill our line so the way it could fill up all the way to our pump so we don't have any air bubbles or anything. But instead of cracking this thing and letting it roll pretty quick, I like to kind of just let it slowly fill. So this does take a little bit, but I like to open our line here. So this is just going basically up to here.
Okay.
Where we can recirc back over our grain bed, or in this case, against the inside of the wall.
Yeah. So you're using that fine tune adjustment right there.
Yep, it's a little diaphragm valve. So what we do is we crack it. I don't know if you can see, but I'll crack it just enough until I see, just like that, like a little bit of movement there.
Yep.
And then usually I can walk away from it and come back, and then I'll need a little adjustments. But basically I'll do this until I see that my sight glass is full. And from there I can start tuning in our pump just on our recirc here.
That's right.
Vorlauf, so.
That's right. I remember, because it's that you have the kettle side pump and the ladder side pump. And then we'll also be going up. So we're not dealing with this tree over here anymore. We're kind of looking at this line over there, right? Go ahead and jump up if you want.
Oh yeah, I was gonna be your Vanna White.
There you go.
So yeah, all this is shut off. This is coming from a different source. This is where our line is being filled from the bottom.
Nice.
And basically it'll just reach our pump and it won't go up any higher than that. But once it hits a pump, we'll start filling in here.
And then we had a little bit of a conversation about it. It has that little elbow that comes back and kind of runs it back along the side, right? Yeah.
So you see a lot of different breweries or a lot of home brew setups where when you're doing your recirc or Vorlauf, there's like a little sprinkler head or a dish plate or something that'll allow the wort to kind of shower over the grain bed. In this case, Specific Mechanical builds it, and you could probably show at some point, but there's a little elbow in there, and it just gets it butts up really close to the inside wall here, and it allows the wort to run gently along the side and back into our grain bed. It doesn't go over it, but in this case, I think you'd mentioned before, as long as we're pulling directly from the bottom and all that wort's getting recirculated, maybe it doesn't make that much of a difference that it's not going directly back over the grain bed.
I know it was something that I sweated at first when I first started brewing on one of these. But I think like you said, as long as we're pulling uniformly from the bottom on this, it works.
And
it works.
It's not splashing all over the place, which kind of goes against my being very gentle process.
Absolutely, taking it easy on the hot side for sure.
We'll check out what we got going on here. So we'll adjust this up a little more.
And so right now we're running through the sight glass right here. And then with this rig, let me take this off. With this rig, this Grant should look familiar to some of you used to the old channel stuff. Both the valves on the bottom of that are closed, and the one immediately below it is open. And so that's the line that we're actually filling. And then you're going to start utilizing the Grant at what point?
So once this is completely full, the grant. So we'll start using this once we're actually doing our transfer over. So when we change from Vorlauf to our actual transfer and sparge, that's when we'll open this guy up, because we want to get a consistent flow and a transfer of liquid from the mash to the brew kettle.
For sure. Yep. Back in the day, my grant was named Ulysses. You didn't. That was a charity laugh, and that's okay. Ben, that's what I deserve. Because that was Ulysses.
It's
that's
so
grant.
silly.
We actually had it. We actually had it a print off label for it, Ulysses. And when I would give tours, it was hit or miss. I'm not gonna lie. All right, and we're about to start this Vorlauf. So like you mentioned, that whole sight glass is filled now. That whole tube is filled.
So I'll just go ahead and open this all the way, so we get make sure we get maximum flow, and we'll control it with our pump here. So right now nothing's moving. So right here we'll use our louder pump. We'll turn it on. I turn it on. I leave it down about 1 or 2-ish. What I don't want to do is start too fast and drop my grain bed and compact it. So another little gentle process.
Yeah, you don't want to pull all that, because when you throw all that suction on the bottom of that grain bed, you can really compact it, right?
Yeah. So wait till it trickles in, then I'll bump it up just a little bit to get a nice little flow if you want to check it out at some point. Yeah, so we're flowing. It's kind of where I like to keep it right now.
All right, well, let's see. Let's see how upside down this looks.
It's really hard in there because it gets steamy.
Yep. I'm actually faring pretty well so far. So you can see like this little parabola. What was that? What was I saying?
I got 99 parabolas.
I have a long history of not saying that word right. But yeah, kind of just that nice arc going down the side. And that's where you like to run that, at about that speed, just nice and easy down the side.
Yep.
Excellent. And then how long is that? How long is that Vorlauf?
So we'll run this for 30 minutes. So I just started a timer, and this is usually when I jump up and I grab our sample for a pH too.
Sweet, man.
So
do your thing.
All right.
All right, grabbing pH sample.
We like to smell it, make sure it's grainy.
Yeah.
Wordy, nothing weird, and then we'll just drop it in. Let it get to room temp a little bit before we take our sample. So.
Yep. Okay, so we just stopped our Vorlauf, our recirculation, and we're going to get ready and start sending some wort over to the kettle.
Yep.
Sweet. So how do we do that?
Yeah. So I had stopped this prior to turning off our Vorlauf, just so I didn't get any backflow back into the grain bed, so I can keep it nice. So I have opened up this to allow the wort to come over. And so what I'll do is, before I start my water for sparge or anything, I like to just kind of drop this down to a sweet spot. It's usually about 2.5 on this dial. And I'll come up here and check my flow.
And right now, that's all by gravity, correct?
Right now, it's all gravity, yeah. So I'm not seeing enough, so I'm going to open a little more. And sometimes I can see it starting to move in here, which is nice. Again, very gentle with this process. We'll trickle in, and that should be about my normal flow to start.
Yep.
It's generally when we open this too into our grant, so we can start filling that as well. And then we use this product here as a defoamer.
You get that from your brewery?
Yeah, our Westmar rep. Yep.
Nice.
We do measure this. We tend to just use these because this stuff is so sticky, it clings to the inside. It's kind of hard to rinse.
Yeah.
So we do. We have measured this. It goes to the and angel of the winds.
Nice.
So we like to shake that up. Good. We just toss this in at the beginning, so it gets a nice mix as it fills.
A little anti-foam agent.
Yep. And then we'll get our sparge water going here in a second. So we're at just a really slow trickle. I don't know if you want to look in there or not to see it, or we can show you here in a sec. But once I know that's kind of rolling, I like to use my 2 sight glasses here. I'll shut the back one, and then I kind of monitor this front glass. So as my level drops or raises, when I like to keep it level, because right now I think where the wort and the grain are mixed together, I like to keep it floating there the whole time. So it just kind of helps monitor that. Then we'll kick on our water here. So we'll open our little spray balls.
HLT over here with that into the manifold, and then he's gonna be able to hit that sparge right.
And then we'll start rinsing.
Awesome.
And I'll let this go for just a tiny bit, and then what I'll do is I end up speeding up the flow a little bit to kind of get things going. I like to make sure there's a nice settled grain bed. And then here I'll just adjust my sparge water temperature once it gets up to temp.
Nice.
Open that.
Louder. Loutering. Margin. Okay, so you can see right here we have the sparging right here. It's going all the way around. Gently rinsing this grain. Looking good, looking good. And then this is all on its way. Zoom. Over here to the kettle. Looking beautiful. Looking beautiful. Hey, so we're just about to do our 60-minute edition here. What do we have going on for a 60-minute edition?
So 60, we just do a simple magnum on this one just to get our bitterness out of it, and then we do a little 5-minute edition of Saaz.
Yep. Love it,
Simple.
and it's a light lager. You know what I mean?
IBUs.
Yeah. Keep
Kinda
it in
guy.
nice, gentle.
Yep.
All right, let's go
Cruise.
throw some hops in there, man. I love how clean the equipment is.
Yeah, we're trying to keep it clean, shiny.
For sure.
Or say sassy and glassy.
Nice. All right, and we're rolling through the boil, and what do we have right here for that last little 5-minute edition?
So we got some Saaz, it's our Czech Saaz.
Nice.
We're gonna throw this in. We do like a 5-minute boil because we're really low on the IBUs on this, but I feel like if we boil it for at least a small amount of time, we're getting a little bit more flavor out of this
Sure.
for a beer that we don't want a lot of flavor in.
Yeah, but just kind of a nice little accent, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes a nice light touch late in something like this.
Yeah. I like to say
And a
we're-
beer like this is so austere in the first place
Yeah.
that it doesn't take much to catch that little edge off of it.
Yeah.
Very
I like
cool.
to say we're giving a little smooch of flavor at the end there.
And so 5 minutes left,
Yep.
and then we're going to be jumping to Whirlpool. What's our Whirlpool regimen going to look like?
So we're gonna whirlpool for 20 minutes, and then we do a 10-minute rest after that.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet, and then we'll be knocking out through that heat X and get some yeast in there.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, man.
Right.
Here. So the steam off now because this is a 10-barrel steam system, and it looks like you have 3 valves up there. So there's
Yep.
3. Is that for each of the 3 jackets?
Yeah. Obviously, the bottom one goes to the bottom jacket, middle jacket, and the top one you can see runs to about right here
Nice.
on here. So we got 3. It allows us to kind of open the first one as we get kind of filling, and as we fill, we can crank different stations up.
That's nice.
Yeah, so we did a flame out here, and then we're gonna start our recirc. So basically, we're gonna flow out of the bottom of here. We're gonna run through our pump. It's gonna come up here, and we're gonna push around this way, so that'll kind of give us that whirlpool
Cool.
action
Cool.
going on there.
And so the nice thing about this little arrangement right here is ultimately you can close this and then be dropping that wort down to your heat exchanger, correct?
Yep.
Nice. And this is the same way that this main pump right here on the left-hand side with the bigger, this can also drive our CIP spray ball up to the kettle as well. So it's kind of multi-function there.
Yeah, it pushes the spray ball, pushes our whirlpool, and the pump also pushes our transfer to our
Nice.
to our FV. So
Nice.
So we usually kick this guy on. We run it again. I go gentle, gentle little touch. I could probably whip this faster, but I like to go 4 or 5, about halfway mark there.
Yep.
And just let it go for about 20 minutes. So I'll set a timer here.
And again, it's one of those things like you don't need to be drawing a huge vortex on it. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can potentially like create some haze issues downstream. So yeah.
Yeah.
Get it to where it's spinning and then let it drop.
I feel like we don't want to. We love our babies, and we don't want to shake our babies.
Yeah. No shaking babies.
Yeah, it's worked out nicely for us, and we'll show you at the end. There's a nice little cone down there,
Sweet.
so you'll be able to check that out.
Dave and I earlier were talking about the protein break in here. I'm going to be interested to see if that break material is a little bit different because I know when I've gone from base malt to base malt,
Okay.
because this is the first time you're using Barke Pils
So
in
this is
here.
the first,
It'll be interesting to see how that true pile, if there is any difference or anything like that.
Yeah. We've already noticed some differences, so this is kind of a fun first run with this Wireman base malt. So
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely
lighter.
Yep.
It's a pale boy.
It's a nice one. I love this malt.
Yeah.
Whirlpool action. You can see it spinning around the outside
Okay.
edge, getting all that stuff moving.
That's right.
All right, man. So where are we at right now?
Cool. So we just finished our Whirlpool, and we finished our 10-minute rest. Now we're getting ready to knock out here.
Yep.
And we're gonna try this new setup that you were kind of recommending, and I like it. Before that, we were just taking our knockout hose,
Yep.
and we would bring it back here, and we'd kind of sit it on top of this hose, so obviously so it wasn't touching the ground. But it's a way for us to run all that water out until we see beer, and then we shut everything down, attach our tank.
Yep.
But this way I think you did a video earlier on the whole process of burning that out. So what we're doing now is we're running that hose. As soon as we're done with the burnout, we can attach directly to the tank with a block and bleed, and then this will allow us to dump any water that was packed in this line out until we see it in the sight glass turn to beer, and then we'll shut that down and we'll open to the tank and start filling that way. So
nice.
Quicker.
All right, I'm going to start rolling over here on it, and you can go ahead and open up your valves over here.
Okay. Oh, I gotta shut this. Gonna open this guy.
Boom. All right, now we're sending liquid this way, and then this hand on each valve. Yep. Good,
All right,
good.
ready? So we're rolling with the pump.
Did I just see a bubble? Yep, bubbles are moving, sweet. And then I would just take right here and here and have this one pulled out, and then just be ready to rotate them. And you're gonna see, and what we're gonna see is we're gonna see that thing get
Really light.
You're gonna see it definitely turn to wort, but it might be cloudy. I'm not sure how much, so we'll see how junky it looks. So we might put a little bit of that down the drain too. See, here comes your yellow, and let's just see where it settles out. Yeah, start taking it right now. Kaboom. Yep. Sweet. Sweet, sweet. We're off gassing over there. That making sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah, man. Sure. Hell yeah. Sweet. Excellent. We can dial up that oxygen, brother.
Yeah, I'm just turning it on now.
Yeah. Bubble it. All right, so we're rolling through knockout right now.
Yeah.
What temp are we looking at knocking this beer out at?
So we're gonna shoot for 50.
Nice.
50 degrees.
Be knocking out in the low 50s. Give that Bayern Lager yeast from Omega, right?
Yep.
It's a chance to kind of really have that nice, clean start to fermentation. We have our yeast over here that we're going to be pitching in a little bit, and we will join back with you when we're doing that. So you've got your fresh pitch of yeast from Omega, and there's the Bayern strain.
Yep.
And we're sitting in a little bath of Sandy right now, correct?
Yep.
Beautiful.
We'll sit it in there, or I'll put it in a bucket so it covers all of it.
Yep.
Before we pitch, make sure we're clean.
How much do you usually get into the fermenter before you add your yeast?
So we generally will utilize the temp probe that's in the fermenter, and when we're looking at our actual, what are we going into right now? We're going into FV5.
Yep.
So once we hit that temp probe, where are we at? FV5. We're at 65 right now. So I know that we're not quite hitting it yet.
So you have that whole panel up there that's showing where everything is set at.
Yeah. So once I know that I know the temperature of the actual wort that's in the tank is good, I try to get the yeast in as soon as possible just to get a nice mix in there. So
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Mix it up.
That's awesome. And I love this. I don't know why certain things like this make me so excited, but I love how pale this wort is. You can see how clearly the O2 bubbles express in there, and just a nice pale beer. In my mind, there really is always something about like that nice, crisp, pale lager. Sometimes like just how pale it is almost kind of like infers how bright and easy drinking, right? Super excited about this one. And like they mentioned before, this is going to be the first time that they're trying Barke with this light beer, a blend of Barke and rice. So should be pretty excited. We're going to stay in touch on this, and we're going to see how you enjoyed it on the back end.
Yeah.
All right, so we're getting ready, rolling on this yeast pitch. And yes, I'm up like in the little mezzanine because we make real cinema here on the channel. You know what I mean? And we got the fellas down there. They've got their hands sanied up. We're spraying with ISO around the top of that 6-inch port. So yeah, you got your yeast here. The fellas are all sanied up, taking it out of sanding. Everything's ISO'd up. Cooled wort is flowing in. That tank is reading 50 degrees right now.
Generally do this.
Love it. ISO it all. ISO the beard.
ISO my face.
Pitching that Bayern from Omega. Looking good. Sweet.
Thanks, sir.
ISO everything back up. Get it back in place. Cap it up, cap it up. So now we have that yeast in the tank, and we're just monitoring our temperature and making sure that we're knocking out everything appropriately. I'm disproportionately excited about making this beer. I think it's going to be great, and we're having a good time doing it. So anyways, I'm going to get back down there, and we're going to keep rolling with the process. All right, so we're just about done with knockout, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to check out how that cone formed, how that tube cone formed in the bottom of the kettle, because it's always interesting to see when you're using different kinds of base malt, switching that thing up, how that affects it. So let's go check it out. Ah, what a killer yield. Ah, sweet. So you can see their port where they draw off on the bottom. Nice little tight cone in the middle. And yeah, very cool. Got a big yield out of this. And so right now we're going to start breaking down, busting all this thing down and cleaning up. All right, so some cool things that they have, and as we kind of prep for CIP and everything like that, they have a great little CIP vessel right here. And let me turn the camera around to show you. I should be looking over there. All right, so we have our port at the bottom of this. In order to draw off, we have a return port right here, and that has an elbow, great big heavy lid. And then down here, boomski. Look, we have our electric coil, our heating element right there. And you can see that there's that separator running through that 1.5-inch port at the bottom. This plugs in, obviously. That's an electric coil that will plug in, obviously. But this is a great vessel in order to hold caustic and hold it at temperature. This thing will hold our cleaning chemical at 150 degrees as they circulate, whether that is on a heat-ex, the kettle, ladder ton, if they chose to use it on tanks. All very cool options. That's one of the things that I love here. What else? And maybe this is something only for the geekiest of people, but one of the things that I love about the layout here is you can actually get behind the brew house. I am walking through this freely. You can kind of scoot two people past each other back here. There's room to work. There's room to clean. A very nice touch on the layout of this place. If you've been watching my stuff for a little while, you know that I'm a fan of ultrasonic cleaners, and they have a great big awesome one. Let's check it out. Here's this big bad boy. It's a go ahead and plug in, get your stuff in here. This is like twice the width of my one at cartridge, and then you can get it shaken. I love using these for carb stones and other smalls that have kind of difficult spots to get into. It's a great way to do that. If you do have anything threaded in-house, it's something else that can really take care of threads on an item, even though threads aren't always ideal in a sanitary environment. But I love that too. I do want to give a huge thank you to Ryan, Dave, the brewery fellas here, and really everybody here at Angel of the Winds Casino. I got to tell you, it's really been an amazing visit. I've had killer meals. The casino has all the casino stuff. It's bright, it's popping, buzzers are going off. It's casino time, baby. I had one of the best steak dinners I have ever had last night. The hotel was amazing. The service staff was amazing. Just a great time. Their hospitality was over and above. If you're ever in the area, you do need to come out and check this place out. At this point, we're going to be setting up everything for cleaning, and that's really going to be where we're at. I'm going to be getting an update from Ryan about how this light lager comes out, and maybe we can tack this on to the video at some point to kind of give you an update. Make sure to drop any questions or comments that you have in the comments below. And as always, we appreciate you watching. Cheers. I didn't find Sean Kemp, but I had an awesome time. Still looking for Gary Payton.